I moved to Florida. Never heard of HOAs. They sounded ridiculous to me. Well, I'm here to tell you they are. Our realtor told us we'd have to live in one or else we wouldn't be able to find a house.
Oh no.
Okay, please fire that realtor. There is such an abundance of terrible fucking realtors out there. I have a great one now, but man, we had to really weed through a lot of to get a good one because they'll tell you things like this. You have to live in HOA or you're not going to find a house. That's not true at all. And they're costing you more money. All right, rant over. We get a nice house in an HOA. The HOA is a combination of single family homes and townhouses, working class neighborhood. The townhouses pay more HOA fees and are maintained by the HOA. Single family homes pay a little less and are maintained by the owners. HOA fees go up by 10% every single year I live there without exception. See what I mean? It just gets more and more expensive. I have two older, retired, and very meticulous neighbors. One came from a communist country and truly doesn't give two shits what anyone else does on their property. Great, love it. He's perplexed that some Americans in the, quote, land of the free love to bitch about what their neighbor is doing. Welcome to my channel. My other neighbor is an 88-year-old guy that gets on his hands and knees to weed the grass. Dude is so close to death that he shouldn't start a book. I've never heard that one before. Yeah, all he cares about in life is about everyone else's yard. Yep, that kind of. Those are also abundant in HOAs. He turns me in for literally everything. I wait 10 days to cut my grass instead of doing it in a week. Violation. Brown spot on my lawn from a bug or something else. Violation. Mulch looks a little old around my bushes. Violation. That sounds like a euphemism. I left my garbage cans a couple of hours past dusk. Violation. I deal with this horse nonstop for 2 years. Case in point. I have 3 dogs that play in the backyard. Some grass is dead from peeing and running around. I don't really care about grass that much. My yard is fenced, so no big deal, right? Hurricane Irma rolls through. Took down 40 feet of my fence. I'm so sorry to hear that. What does my wonderful neighbor do? Oh no. Takes advantage of my fence being taken down from a natural disaster to take pictures and forward them to the HOA company. There's got to be some sort of bylaw, though, when it's not your fault and it's a natural disaster. Violation, fine, and I have to pay thousands to resod my lawn for a yard that dogs will be playing in. I'm so sorry. Meanwhile, the roofs of the townhouses' loose shingles are tarped for over a year after the hurricane before the HOA finally fixed them. So they can take their time, but you have to pay thousands. Right. This makes a lot of sense. But I mean, for some dead grass you can only see when my fence is blown down. Yeah, people have too much time on their hands. This was the last straw. Put my house up for sale. Refused to ever live in an HOA again. Smart. I found a different realtor. Yay! One of my favorite hobbies is firing realtors. Confession time. Found a nice house in a quiet neighborhood with no HOA. Several neighbors work on cars and keep their projects in their driveway. Some people are meticulous as hell about yards. Some, like myself, aren't really worried about plants, gardens, and grass. And everyone lives in peace and harmony, and property values are fine even without an HOA here to save us. Case in point, a lot of people that are pro HOA will argue that it maintains property value and it keeps the place up and yada, yada, yada. But that doesn't mean without an HOA that your property values won't stay up. It's all about the location. It's about neighbors. It's so much more to do with that. And I think you should never believe anyone that says the only way to keep property values up and to secure that you're in a good neighborhood is to live in an HOA, because half the time when you live in an HOA, you're walking into these terrible situations where you have a dictatorship of one person that runs the HOA board and they're just bulldozing you constantly and sending you fines. There's plenty of properties out there that are in great neighborhoods that will maintain their property values. You just have to do your research. Anytime you look at a house, it's always smart. If you notice a nice looking neighbor next door, just go and chat with them and, see if the neighborhood's nice and safe and what they like about it, etc. That's my 2 cents. Someone wrote, after 6 years caring for my parents who lived in Florida, it became apparent that the entire state is very predatory. Yeah, Florida, I'll just leave it there. The HOAs have way more control than they should and extort money from people. Yeah, Florida. You know what? I'm just gonna say do your research before you move anywhere. Do your research. Thank you, OP, for your story. I'm so sorry you went through that. I hear way too many of these stories where there's just one guy that ruins it all in an HOA, but I'm glad that you got out of there. And you know what? Lesson learned. Life is about learning from our mistakes. So I'm glad you're in a great place now.